Welcome back. In this episode, we finally push into Wetware Circuits, the most advanced living technology in the game. With a fully sterile clean room and a lot of questionable biology, I build living processes and slowly lose my mind over circuit boards. This is Star Technology. Let's get into it. So since the last episode, our sterilizing filter casings I have completed. All 168 of them are now ready. That took a long time. I've built another few fusion reactors, a couple more Mark IIs. Both of them are working on europium. And also I upgraded this one here, which was the europium one from before, and that's Mark II as well. So liquid europium is no longer a problem. Everything I tried to build seemed to need to use it, and it was just running out completely. So now I've got 3 fusion reactors running flat out, just trying to get the stocks up, and that worked quite well because I've got those sterilizing filter casings. Which means we can proceed with our unfinished business from last episode. But before that, I just wanted to give a little bit of an update on the state of the base. Been doing a little bit of tweaking here. I've been putting these windows back in. I don't mind how that looks now. I've been trying to figure out what the lower level should look like. Originally, I created these big glass windows like right at the start, like episode 8 or something like that. And I found that they were actually distracting because I'd fly into them because I couldn't see. The glass was way too clear and I'd forget they were there and they were just annoying. So I've settled on this design, which I think looks quite nice. I don't know if I've shown this off, but yeah, there's an outside entrance now, like a walkway. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side, all the way over here. So originally I did have like a wall of storage here, but I found I wasn't using it and it was just in the way. So that's been moved downstairs. Those are still around. I need to move them. But now we've got another walkway that I'm going to build out here. So I haven't decided which way it's going to go. I guess it would have to go this way. Going to get rid of all this wood and just continue the design that I've been using around the base here all the way around. And then eventually probably put the grass area all the way around as well. So it's quite a lot to go, as you can see. I change my mind quite often. So there's parts that I've completely removed and redone. This thing over here with these fans, I really like them. I tried to give them a little bit of depth rather than just having them be flat. So that's why these panels are sticking out a little bit. Same over here. I've got these guards, I guess, so that birds don't fly into them or something. So I think that looks pretty cool. As part of the design, I've been having elements that start up high and then extend down. So the stone here merges into the sort of the more high-tech stuff with those pillars that continue all the way down. Okay, well, there's enough of that. Let's get to the important thing that we want to do this episode. And that important thing is upgrading this. I've done a few little tweaks in here. So now we've got some fencing here, a ladder to get down. I was going to do stairs, but I found that actually made use of the space a little bit better. I changed the wiring of this to be underneath the floor because I wanted to run the ME cable. And I'm actually going to need 2 ME connectors for some of these machines. Put some signs in to remind myself what I'm actually trying to build in these 2 different sections. And I realized there's actually a section that we missed. We need to be able to make the actual raw growth medium and then the sterilized growth medium. So there's actually 2 more machines we're missing, but they are there. But first things first, let's upgrade this ceiling. So that took a long time to build. If I haven't built enough, then I'm going to cry. But I believe if you use a pickaxe, that's going to actually break it. Yep. So we want to use the alloy wrench. So I think we can probably just do this. Yep. And a bit of this and a bit of that. Nice and quick. All right. And then replacing them is as easy as doing that. Done. Wow, that's bright. Okay, so that is not cleaning. Do we need to upgrade the power? Does it require a higher tier of power? I mean, let's do that anyway. We've got ZPM power. So this should be a quick upgrade. That should be UHV now. And now it's spinning. Cool. All right, so I don't know if the sterile cleanroom only runs on higher tier power, but it's working now. There we go. The next step would be to set these up. By the time that we're actually ready to go, this should be relatively clean. Okay, so the first step we need to do is make some mutagen. And the first step in making mutagen is making bacteria. So we do that in a brewery with biochaff and distilled water. Just use an export bus. Let's put them at the back and then do the exceptions on top. So we do that. We're going to need a capacity card, biochaff, and distilled water. Round robin, and let's put some acceleration cards in there. Why is that not working? Have I built the wrong machine? I have, haven't I? It needs to be a distillery, doesn't it? No, it's a brewery. Is there any reason why you're deciding not to work? Like, why is there no distilled water going in there? Oops. Hello? I mean, that's a fluid slot, right? Oh, I know why. Okay, the configuration of the machine is probably set to not allow inputs from the output side. There we go. Now that's come in. Excellent. Solved it. That's something we're going to have to remember for the rest of the machines. So that should make bacteria. Once we have the bacteria, we need to make bacterial sludge, and that is biomass and bacteria. So we can use this machine to just push it straight into there, and then just have an export bus to pull in the biomass. So that would be this one. Accelerate that. We've got the same problem as we did in the other machine, so let's learn from our mistake and do that. Excellent. How are we doing? Oh, it's pretty close. Is that going to then become sterile? Maybe I'll just do that. Biochaff, distilled water. I feel like maybe it should have started. I don't know. We'll just see what happens, I guess. After that, we want to enrich it. So we do that by having the bacterial sludge and a tiny pile of Nequadria dust. I already have tiny piles of Nequadria set up, built a new packer that takes care of that. Tiny pile of Nequadria dust, and we want to actually say that it can be crafted. So we're just waiting for that to kick off. And then once we have that, we just distill that, program circuit 1. And that's our mutagen. So let's program circuit 1 that. And then we just need a storage bus. And extract only. And that should be good to go once this kicks off. I'll try and tweak a few things and then come back, see what's going wrong. I feel like that should be working. Well, as you can see, it's working now. So the way I fixed it is just by logging out and logging back in again. So we can continue with the build. So that bacteria we can export into this machine by doing that, and that'll kick off. And now that is making the bacterial sludge. Yep. Now we can export that into the next machine. And that's making the enriched bacterial sludge very quickly. And then that can go into here like that. And now we are making mutagen. Nice. Okay, so it's clear this is the slow part. Depending on how fast this whole thing is and where the bottlenecks are, this could be a candidate for becoming a large chemical reactor. Because this is obviously 18 ticks to process it. This is 4 seconds. This is basically instantaneous. And then this is about a second. All right, mutagen is ticked off. Where's our clipboard? So bacteria, biomass, bacterial sludge, mutagen, done. Excellent. All right, now we need to make agar. So how do we make agar? We start by making collagen. Collagen is made with mincemeat, bone meal, and sulfuric acid. We produce collagen and diluted sulfuric acid. We're going to need 2 inputs and 1 output. So we can use an interface and then the robot arm can pull them out of the interface, but we can inject the sulfuric acid directly in. So I'll put the export bus on the back. Sulfuric acid can go in like that. We need to allow it to input from the back. Sulfuric acid's going in. Good start. Actually, changed my mind. I'm going to do this slightly differently. If I do this as an interface instead, then we can use that as the way that the dilute sulfuric acid is removed from the system. Anything that's pushed into the interface, if it's not one of the things it wants, it will collect it. We can drag sulfuric acid into here, set that up like that, and then we'll have to create a pump to pull that in. But we'll need a fluid filter so it only pulls in the sulfuric acid. Put the MV electric pump on that face and tell it to import, and we'll put a fluid filter on that. Sulfuric acid in there. Excellent. So we'll put an interface on top like that. Cable this up. We'll tell this to import bone meal and also the mincemeat. So now we just need a robot arm that will pull in the right amounts. Robot arm on that top face. Put a filter on that. Keep exact. Grab the mincemeat. Make it 16. And then the bone meal, drag that in as well. Make that 16 and turn that to import. And that's now working. So that's producing the collagen dust and the diluted sulfuric acid. So because we're using an interface here, if we tell the liquid to export to the back, that'll be taken care of by the system. Everything will work nicely. I've used this trick in other parts of the base, but one thing I've forgotten to do is actually have the thing that's importing any other liquids use a filter. And what ends up happening is sometimes the output that comes out to here, like the diluted sulfuric acid, gets pulled in by mistake, which is not great. So that's the way to solve that problem. Cool. All right, so we've got the collagen. We need to make gelatin mixture. So that's just collagen, phosphoric acid, and water. So we can use an export bus on the back and the collagen can just go straight across. So let's do that. Okay, collagen has arrived, and I'll put export bus on that. Expand the capacity of that. Probably give it some acceleration as well. Phosphoric acid and water. And we'll tell it that it can input from the output side. And there we go. So that should be making gelatin mixture. So now we can tell that to export to the next machine. And that's already centrifuging. And once that's done, we now have phosphorus dust and gelatin dust. So we want the gelatin to go into here and we want the phosphorus to be removed. Robot arm on the back, that's already set to export. We want a filter and we want it to export phosphorus dust. So now what we can do is do the same thing on this side. So we'll put a rubber arm, filter, gelatin dust. And that's already gone across, which leaves us with the last step. Once we have gelatin dust, all we've got to do is react that with distilled water and it produces agar. So we'll have an export bus on the back of that, bring in some distilled water. It can input from the output side. Storage bus on that. And partition that. And we now have access to agar dust. Brilliant. So the last step is sterilized growth medium. We start off by making raw growth medium, which is made in a mixer from lots of ingredients. So this is the pasta sauce, the mincemeat, the salt, the calcium, and some agar dust and some mutagen. And this brings everything together. We've got the elite mixer and the fluid heater. 4 different inputs. So we'll use an interface and robot arm. We want 4 of each. We just have to remember that. And then we want mutagen as well. Okay, grab an interface, pop that on the back, run that cable across. We want those 4 things. So we want mincemeat, salt, calcium, agar dust. That calcium is the wrong one. Calcium. Set all these to 64. Cool. Pop the rubber arm on there and we can configure that. We're going to want to keep exact and we want 4 of each of those. Mincemeat, salt, agar dust, calcium dust. Tell it to import. Import from the output side. Export bus. Hook this up. Import the mutagen. What have I done wrong? Program circuit maybe? No? What's wrong with that recipe? It's a mixer in a sterile clean room. Mutagen, agar dust, some kind of calcium, some kind of salt, mincemeat. That should work. Maybe I could just quit out and come back in and see if that makes any difference. Rather than spending a long time trying to debug that. There we go. That was the problem. I just needed to log back out and back in again. Sometimes the game's a little bit silly like that, but now it's working. 15 seconds, that is not quick. We're using a ZPM thing as well. So if we want to go faster, we're going to have to build a multi-block. But we've made raw growth medium. So let's export that. The last thing we need there is program circuit 1. And there we go. Put storage bus on the back. Hook this up. And partition that. And we now have sterilized growth medium. That means I can make the wetware circuits. So let's request a wetware circuit board. So one of these should prove that the whole process works. Let's go. Okay, something's gone wrong here. I've got some debugging to do there. Okay, what I'll do is I'll try and figure out what's going on and then come back. Okay, well, I wonder if I've misjudged how clean rooms work. I wonder if a sterile clean room doesn't count as a clean room, because that seems like what is happening here. I wonder if this machine can't work in this sterile clean room. I would have thought a sterile clean room is like a clean room, but better. But that might not be the case. I guess I could take these out, put them downstairs. I got the other clean room. That could be it. That was an assumption on my part, so maybe I just got it wrong. I mean, we're going to obsolete a lot of these things anyway, because we're going to be doing wetware ones. That's the input bus. So just chuck those in there. And then I need some liquid soldering alloy and put that into here. Okay, so that's that. That wetware thing is not being made. Why is that not being made? It should be in here. It's got all those parts. Maybe the numbers are wrong. Let's check the numbers. How much we got? Yeah, we got all that. Ah, is it not high enough tier? Assume that's probably the problem. Oh no. Is there like a program circuit or something for that? No. IV sensor, IV circuit, LUV electric pump, petri dish, 16 niobium titanium foil, 16 of those. 16, okay. That looks correct to me. Any reason why you're not doing what you're supposed to do there, Chief? Okay, maybe I'll try my old trick. So logging out, logging back in, does that fix it for today? That has not fixed it. This is a clean room, right? It's not anything silly, no? That doesn't say sterile clean room, does it? That definitely just says clean room. It's got all the quantities. I don't get why this isn't working. LUV. And this is definitely LUV. Oh my God, I am so stupid. I've just realized this is a circuit assembler, not a chemical reactor. Oh dear. I mean, in my defense, this is like, that's that and that's that. So why, if this is made here, why would this not be? That's a little bit rude. Let's take all this out. So place all those in there. Put this in here. There we go. Oh, frustration. Okay, well that works. So what can we do now with this wetware printed circuit board? So here are the 4 wetware processors. It's got the LUV tier 1, which we can't make yet because we don't have the Neuro processor. We can do the ZPM tier 1 though. And the UV tier 1, we're going to need to scan that first. But in the assembly line, we can make all that. Cool. And then UHV circuit. Ooh, you know what? This is the only thing we don't have. Oh, and the fact that we got to research it. 96. Yeah, we're not close to that. Okay, we need to make some of these chips. So I don't think I've encoded this. So let's do that. Okay, we can't make this yet because we do need that lower tier 1. So how do we make these Neuro processors? So that requires wetware, stem cells, electron plates. Okay, there's a few things here for me to encode and figure out, like stem cells. We need to set up another chemical reactor. All right, I will get ready so that we can do that. So the stem cells are made in a chemical reactor in a sterile clean room from osmiridium dust, bacteria, and sterilized growth medium. And we have all of those. It produces stem cells and a side product of bacterial sludge. So we're going to have to figure out a way to process that. What I might have to do is change this so the bacterial sludge is pulled out of here through the ME system rather than this. And then what we'll do is we'll set that machine up as a priority so it uses it from there first. So the first and only thing we're going to need is an elite chemical reactor. We just need osmiridium, bacteria, and sterilized growth medium, 2 fluids, and a solid. We could use an export bus. Yep, that'll do it. Put that into place. We're going to want a capacity card because it's 3 things: osmiridium dust, some bacteria, and some sterilized growth medium. Round robin, and we'll go accelerate that. Allow input. So here's something else I did. I actually realized the sterilized growth medium that we were having in here wasn't going to be enough. So I built a separate tank and set up an emitter and machine cover. Osmiridium is something that we craft. Take out one of these acceleration cards and put a crafting card, and that should bring that across. There we go. And now we just need the bacteria. One way to do that is to slap a storage bus on here. Do a bit of this, partition it, and now the bacteria should come over here. And there we go. Osmiridium, sterilized growth medium, and bacteria. Now that is not starting because I think we need a program circuit. No, why is that not starting? Okay, I'm guessing it's just being silly again. I might have to relog. And there we go. Well, that's making bacterial sludge and stem cells. So the stem cells is what we want. How many things use stem cells? Just that one recipe. Just put a storage bus on there. And I'll partition that. And we actually want both. So I'll set the priority to be lower. And over here, this is making bacterial sludge. Tell that not to automatically pass through there. We'll put another storage bus on here. So what we'll do is we'll put a capacity card on that and tell it to request the bacterial sludge. And if we look that up, what it should do is request the bacterial sludge, but take the one that's in that machine first. So let's have a look. Yes, it's gone. Excellent. That's perfect. That's exactly what I want. You've got stem cells and bacterial sludge. These 2 slots will never fill with the stem cells. Anytime this makes any, it's going to be taken straight out, and this will be the storage for the stem cells. So that works perfectly. Brilliant. So that means we need to encode some recipes. So circuit assembler, clean room, neuroprocessing unit. Got electron plates. We don't have HSSE bolts. Really? We don't have small polybenzamidazole fluid pipe. Okay. Well, I mean, we can do that. And also don't have the thin silicone rubber sheet. We do. Do we have silicone rubber? Yes. Okay, good. I was worried that we would have to do a whole new industrial process. And that should be it. I think everything should be there now. Thinking about how I've set that up upstairs, I'm actually going to make a slight change. It's great and all to have those stem cells be in that machine, but if we want to craft a large quantity, we're not going to be able to do that because it will say, no, we don't have enough. Because all we can do is we can only store 128 in there. So it's going to limit how much we can craft at the same time. So if I set up a chest and just tell that to export into there, so I'll take that out of there. We'll put another storage bus on here. How many do we want? Let's go 1024. Pop that in there. Let's try making one of those. Missing liquid polybenzamidazole. Something gone wrong over here. Ah, that's empty. It's missing diphenyl isophthalate. Where's the diphenyl isophthalate? There. Ah, okay. What is that? Why is there dilute sulfuric acid in there? Is that supposed to happen? Isophthalate. Yes. Why is there no... Ah, okay. It doesn't know it can take it out because of that thing there. Don't know how long that's been sitting out like that. There we go. And then that'll be taken out, and then there'll be room for the other stuff to go in. Weird. Okay. Because I've got a process for taking care of the diluted sulfuric acid. It's over here. This machine here. Distillation tower. So yeah, it just takes care of it here, but it didn't know it needed to do it because it was missing from that storage bus. Weird. Maybe when I reconfigured it at some point, it just stopped working and I had so much polybenzamidazole built up that it never had to make any more. Okay, cool. So what were we trying to make? We were trying to make the neuro thingy. Done. So it's just overall just a simpler process. So this one here relies on making one of these first, as you can see. But this one is just the first tier. So we can take both of these out now because this should work. So how's that neuroprocessing thing going? It's crafting that. It's got everything here. Time to debug it. Which number is going to be wrong? That's my guess. Electron plates. That's it. It needs to be 8. Great. That's always fun. Tweak that. Make that 8. Put that back in. Grab those 7 and pop them into there. There we go. Nice. We should be able to make those wetware circuits. Oh, that was quick. That's nice. Now we can make the ZPM tier 1s as well. Oh, wow. That's fast. I'm loving this new tech. And that means in UV, we can now make this. So now we just need to research that guy with a data orb and 16 units of computation, which I believe we do have. All right, let's go to our recently refurbished research station. Basically, I just moved it all around. I want one of those. And we want data orb. Got plenty of those. This should have 16 units. Yep. It's making that sound because I hadn't muted it after I moved it. So what's involved with that extra recipe? It's in the assembly line. Okay, I think we have all of this just off the bat. We do. That's amazing. Okay. This is the one that has a UV circuit in it currently. Pop that in there. Ah, hang on. I forgot to take the data orb out of the recipe. Encode that, drop that into there. We can take that one out. We need to grab the research and put it into here, but I guess we can replace that guy. This should be ready. Excellent. Put that into there and then order one of them. So this should be much quicker to make than that previous one. Oh, wow. Okay. That was very quick. That was like 10 or 15 seconds from the point that I hit go. That other crystal one would take a lot longer. Ah, that's amazing. Well, I think that's a good place to end this episode. We finally got through and got all the wetware circuits. We've upgraded to the highest possible circuit technology that we have access to in this version of the game, which is pretty exciting. The only thing we have left is that UHV circuit, which we'll get pretty soon once we've upgraded the computing power of the research station, which is going to be the focus of the next episode, I think. We're pretty well set up. I think I'm just going to probably optimize a few of those processes offline, double the machines a little bit just to make sure we can produce them very quickly, because that's what we're going to be using from here on in. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode. Cheers.